We've added functionality to allow you to schedule recurring appointments for an individual patient with just a few clicks. So on the Appointment tab, I'll open a patient's account to show you how it works. I'll add a reason and then click Schedule Appointment. On the Schedule Appointment tab, you will now see a new section for recurring appointments in the bottom left. If you need to set up multiple appointments, click Recurring instead of finding the date and time on the calendar. Then from the left, you can set the parameters for the appointments you are attempting to schedule. The first section, Appointment Options, will allow you to set the normal properties for an appointment: the case, provider or resource, where the appointment will be at, and what type of appointment it is. This information will be pre-populated based on the patient's account and what you selected in the Select Patient tab, but you can change it here if need be. Then set the desired appointment time. You can either do so by manually changing the start and end fields, or by changing the start time and then using the duration field to set the length of visit. Changing the duration will modify the end field. Then, in the Recurrence Pattern section, you can set the parameters for how often you would like to schedule the patient. Start by selecting between either daily, weekly, or monthly, and then set the corresponding parameters based on that. For instance, if you want to schedule a weekly appointment, you'll have the option to set how often, every week or every 2 weeks, etc. We'll leave it as every week. Then select the day of the week that they want to come in. Let's say our patient wants Tuesdays. Then you will select the range. Start by selecting the first date you want the range to begin with. Then select how long the range will go for. Will it go until the end of your configured schedule, or after a certain amount of occurrences, or will it end on a certain date? Let's say for our example, we want to do a certain number of appointments, so we'll select Ends After, and then set the number of visits required. And let's say we want to do 5 visits. Before you click Search, you can take a look at the summary text at the bottom to confirm what you set sounds like what you're looking for. And when you've confirmed that you set the parameters correctly, go ahead and click Search. On the right, you will then see the appointments to be scheduled based on the criteria you entered on the left. If there are conflicts in any way, you will see that on the schedule. A conflict could arise because there is no schedule available, and in which case the date requested would be gray, like we are seeing here with the 4/21 appointment. Since there is no schedule created, you will not be able to book that appointment, and it will be left in the queue for you to book later. A conflict could also arise if the requested time is already taken by another patient, or is reserved, or both. In either case, you will be warned about the conflict, but you will be able to schedule that appointment as an overbooked time slot, which means that the user attempting to schedule this patient must have the user privilege to overbook in order for them to be able to proceed. In our example here, we have 2 overbooked appointments and 1 appointment with no schedule. We'll keep the overbooked appointments, but keep in mind that we'll have 1 remaining appointment left to schedule. When you are satisfied with the selected appointments, click Schedule to proceed. You will receive a confirmation dialog summarizing what you are scheduling. Click OK to proceed. If you are overbooking any time slots, like we are, you will receive a warning reminding you of that. And again, you can click OK to proceed. If you have remaining appointments to schedule, you will see those dates to the left in the Remaining Dates to Schedule box. At this point, you have a couple of options for scheduling them. If it's just 1 appointment left, I think it's easier to just delete the one left in the queue by highlighting it and then clicking Delete, or just clicking Clear and manually rescheduling them, since you won't need the recurring tool to find multiple dates. If you have multiple dates left to schedule, it's probably best to click Recurring again and go through the same process we just did, but picking different appointment criteria, dates, times, etc. Okay, so that was the process of scheduling recurring appointments. Now let's discuss other features related to these types of appointments. The first thing was added because of recurring appointments, but can be utilized with any type of appointment. If you right-click on an appointment, you will now have the option to print future appointments. And by future, it means any appointments after the current date and time. It is not relative to the appointment you are clicking on. So if you would like to print a summary for your patient and eliminate the need to manually write it out on a little card, you could utilize this functionality. Just click the printer icon at the top to do so. When you are done, click the red X to close the dialog. Now let's talk about canceling or rescheduling a recurring appointment. To do so, right-click on the appointment like you would for a regular appointment. Then click Cancel or Reschedule. We'll go through an example of rescheduling. For recurring appointments, you will now have the option to select whether you want to reschedule just this occurrence or this and all future occurrences. And then, of course, the same options as before, whether you want to reschedule it now or later, who is rescheduling, and why. If you select the option for this occurrence, it will put that one date in the Schedule New Appointment box on the left while it waits for you to find a new date on the calendar. And just like with any other appointment you want to reschedule, after you highlight the new time slot, you can click Reschedule to process the request. So rescheduling 1 is pretty straightforward. Now let's go back to see what to do for multiple appointments. So we'll select Reschedule again, but this time select this and all future occurrences, and OK. Since we have several appointments to reschedule, it'll take us to the Appointment Recurrence dialog to do so. In the middle of the screen, you will see the list of appointments to be rescheduled. From the left, you will use the Search options to filter for available appointments, just like we did before. Keep in mind that it will remember how you first did this search, so some of the fields will be defaulted and you may need to change them. For instance, most likely you will have to change the appointment time or maybe the day of week. So let's change hours to Wednesdays instead. We'll also have to change the number of appointments since we are only rescheduling part of the group. After you've readjusted your search options, click Search. You will then see the new appointment dates and times displayed to the right. If they all work for your patient, then go ahead and select them and click Reschedule. And then OK on the confirmation dialog. At this point, those appointments have now been rescheduled. So that's the new recurring appointments functionality.